going to continue working with inequalities, and this time we're going to do some more multi-step inequalities and start working on word problems. So go ahead and put the title on your sheet, and we're going to start with number 1. And this time you see there's variables on both sides of the inequality, and just like for equations, you solve it the same way, and just make sure you follow that one little difference for solving inequalities. Okay, so go ahead and write it down, and the first step, there's several different options you have. You don't have to do it this one way, and I even have another way to solve it over here. So we'll do this way first, and then we'll talk about the other way. So I decided to go ahead, I'm going to take, well, first of all, you go ahead and on this side I can simplify this 9n and minus 3n. You can circle them if you want, or you already know, I'm sure, that 9n minus 3n is 6n. So then my first step is I'm going to get my n's over to the, I'm going to get rid of this 15n over here and put it over here. Okay, so if you do it that way, you go negative 15n and subtract 15n over here. Then this reduces to 0, of course, equals 0. And so you're left with a positive 6 or just a 6. This time you don't have to write down the plus sign. Only when it's a minus sign do you have to write it down. Then over here I've got 6 minus 15, which if you add the opposite, 6 plus a negative 15 is unlike sign subtract, and you get a negative 9n. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide by negative 9 to get my n by itself. My goal is still to get the variable by itself on one side. So here I got n here, I divide by negative 9, and I have n is left here. But remember, I'm dividing by a negative, so I have to switch the inequality. So I switched it from going from greater than to less than. And then 6 over negative 9 really doesn't equal a whole number, it equals negative 2/3. I just reduced it. 3 goes into 6 twice, 3 goes into 9 3 times. I keep my negative. Again, you can put it anywhere. You can put the negative with the bottom number, with the top number, or in the front. And we've talked about that in class before. So right now I have this. So again, you can either leave it like that, but if it says to graph it, you have to be careful about how to graph it. Or else you can switch it to just, if you switch it to the other side, you got to switch the inequality and then write the other thing down. So it's either equal to that or this. If you were to graph it, then you go ahead and draw your number line, put 0. Here's negative 1. So negative 2/3 is going to be about right here. It's going to be a hollow dot on 2/3, negative 2/3, and everything to the right is going to be greater than 2/3. Okay, so the other way you could have solved it is over here. Instead of taking the 15 to the right-hand side, you could go ahead and subtract the 6n, because sometimes we just like to have the n on the left-hand side. So when you do that, you get 9n, because 15 minus 6 is 9. You keep your plus 6, because it's sitting there, it's still there, but then 6n minus 6n is 0. So then you have to get, then it's like a two-step equation. So you simply subtract the 6 from both sides. You get the 9n, and then this now becomes 0 minus 6 is negative 6. So then you divide by 9, and again it reduces to 2/3. So you have n is greater than 2/3. You have the same answer we had over here. We just went about it a different way. And either way is correct as long as you keep following all the rules. Okay, let's do a couple more. Okay, so now you have a lot of stuff. You have the distributive property, and then you have an n on this side and an n on this side. Okay, so it's a lot to deal with. So the first step is to go ahead and draw your arrows for your distributive property, and it becomes 2n minus 10, because 2 times 5 is 10. And then copy everything else down. So this time I'm going to try to keep my, what did I do? I kept my n on the left-hand side. And again, if you want to do it another way, you can, but your answer should end up being the same. So that's the thing to check. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my 10 over here and add 10 to both sides, in other words. So I have 2n is left on this side, and I have 20. I have 40. I'm adding 10. I got this wrong. Okay, this should be 40. All right. Everybody makes mistakes. Okay. So this is 30 plus 10 is 40. Minus the 8n is still there. So now I've got to add 8n to both sides. So this is equal to 0, and I got 2 plus 8, and that's 10n. Of course, it's not greater than or equal to 20, it's greater than or equal to 40. That's going to change everything. All right, so then that's 10n, so I'm going to divide by 10, both sides by 10. I don't change the inequality when I divide by 10. I simply leave it like it is, divide by 10, and my answer is n is greater than or equal to 4. Okay, it's a lot of steps in there, so be really, really careful. All right, next one. All right, number 3. Okay, now we're doing the word problems, and we'll have, I think, 3 more word problems here. This is only 5 boards this time, so it's a little bit less because the word problems are a little bit long, take a little longer. Okay, so here we have Sears, makes a profit of $25 on each watch that it sells. You want to write and solve an inequality that represents the number of watches Sears must sell to make a profit of at least $375. Okay? Make $25 on each watch. Well, they want to get a profit of at least $375. They want to clear $375. So first thing, of course, is to assign what your variable is going to be, what your unknown is. We don't know the number of watches it's going to take to make the profit. So let W be the number of watches. Then you want to remember that at least there is an inequality. It's like a little clue word for inequality. And remember, at least really means greater than or equal to. So we don't have equals. They don't want a profit to equal 375. They'd like to equal 375, but they really want to do more probably. They want to do at least that much. They want to do greater than 375. So it's very simple, honestly. It just means that 25 for each watch they sell, they want $25. They get $25. So 25 times every watch they sell, it has to be greater than or equal to that 375. And that's a simple one-step equation, so to speak. It's an inequality, but it's only one step. Divide both sides by 25, and W is going to be greater than or equal to 15. So they need to sell at least 15 watches. Okay, and you can do that division on your own, or what I did, I just thought about money, which is what this is, but I just thought about $3.75. How many quarters? How many quarters go into $3? Well, that's 12, because 3 times 4, and then 3 more for the 75 cents. So a lot of that time, that kind of 25 stuff, and you can think about money with that. Okay, the next one is going to be number 4. Okay, this one is one that's very, the next one's the one that's very common. This one you might come up with a couple of these, but here's what it says. It says the sum of 3 integers is at most negative 57. So sum, you might want to circle that or underline that. Sum means we're going to be doing some adding. And then the at most means, we've got to remember what at most means. Let's keep reading, then we'll get to that. It's at most negative 57. If 2 of the integers are 33 and negative 23, what is the third integer? Okay, you assign your variable, and it's going to be my third integer. That's what I don't know. That's what I'm looking for. Remember that at most means less than or equal to. Okay, if you made at most a 90 on a test, you didn't make an A on that test. You made at most a 90, so you're hoping for a B. Okay, so it's less than or equal to. So then we simply sum. We simply add 33 plus negative 23 plus n is less than or equal to negative 57. Okay. Then we combine these like terms. If you want to circle them to make sure, okay, 33 plus unlike sign subtract, 33 minus 23 is 10, plus your n. So you subtract 10 from both sides. And again, you can add the opposite here. And negative 57 plus negative 10 is negative 67. So that third integer has to be negative 67. You kind of, I think, could hopefully get that because you got to get to negative 57 when you add these together. And these numbers are pretty, they're going to cancel each other out almost. So you need a big negative number to get to negative 57. So that might be a way to kind of think and estimate what you think it might be. Okay, number 5. Last one for this video. Okay, and this one you're going to have a lot, these type of problems. All right, you need to make at least 93 points to earn an A. Now we know that pretty much almost everywhere. And at least, again, is your little clue word. Oh, it's an inequality. All right. Well, so far your grades are 90, 97, and 86. All right, what must you make on the next test to earn an A? All right, so again, you let N be the next test grade. That's what you don't know. Remember, to find the average, you add and divide by the number of numbers that you have, okay? And that'll make sense here in case it doesn't right now. But right now, I probably shouldn't put this right here. Right now, your equation is you got to add all these numbers, 90, 97, 86, and then that fourth number, when you add that fourth, whatever it's going to be, then you divide it all by 4. Okay, that's what that big bar means, right? Dividing all by 4. Has to be at least, remember, at least is greater than or equal to 93. Let me just erase that so you don't get confused. So that's your initial equation. I put the parentheses here just to make sure you remember you got to add up all those numbers first before you start dividing. Okay, so to undo it, I'm going to go ahead and multiply both sides by 4. Okay? Multiply both sides, because that will just cancel that 4 on the bottom. I don't have to worry about it anymore. That'll be so good to get rid of that dividing by 4. And then 93 times 4 is your 372. And then you write everything else. What's left is all this on top. And then you can, if you want to circle the like terms, those constants, you can. Okay? And that's going to be 273 plus some number has to be greater than or equal to 372. And then I hope you can see that, but then what you do, in case you can't, so what you have is 273 plus n is greater than or equal to 372. So you subtract 273 from both sides, and that's going to be greater than or equal to 99. You almost to be 100 if it was 270. You have to make 100 on the next test. You only have to make a 99. So it still might be a challenge, but there you go. It should be greater than or equal to 99 is what you need to make to get an A in the class. So you got to study really hard. Okay, that's it for this video.